Hello, and welcome to On the Irregular with Java Beret, a podcast where I chat to women from all walks of life about their own unique creative journey, how they got here, how their story has shaped their creative work, what they've learned, what has helped them, and where they plan to go from here. It's an irregular journey for so many of us, and I am delighted to offer a platform to share these fascinating stories and wells of wisdom. This week, I'm talking to my dear friend and colleague, the photographer and educator, Laura Carly Adams. In this chat, we grasshopper all over the place. We go from the value of community to how photography changed Laura's life to the power of sharing our stories and finding purpose after the early years of motherhood. Laura is a firework of enthusiasm and determination and has the wonderful ability to make us all want to hitch onto her journey up into the bright sky. A warning, there is a mild expletive in reference to endless days at the playground with the pram. Welcome to episode 13, with the woman who captures light and joy like no one else I know, Laura Carly Adams. Thank you. We tried doing this before and then I had an awful technical problem, so thank you for joining me again to have a chat.
Anytime.
So I would love it if you could tell me a bit about your background, about your family, about your expectations when you were growing up, what you saw ahead for your life, I guess what you allowed yourself to see for your life ahead.
I'm thinking like where to start. Born in Leeds, and I just had a really normal, loving kind of childhood. It was easy, it was simple. I enjoyed school, I was quite academic. But then I felt sometimes, I struggled with my emotions. I felt things really, really intensely. And I suppose for my parents sometimes, particularly my mother, I think she found that quite difficult to deal with. And I found it quite difficult in terms of, the way that I could communicate. I could sort of, sit on feelings or, completely lose it without warning. And then I suppose that's normal though for anyone growing up with those kind of hormones and those feelings. But I suppose as I got older, and I could see that people were kind of leaving that stage, I felt like I was still very in it. And my decisions were led by those intense feelings. So I suppose I lacked direction, I would say. But obviously, I feel like my emotions were kind of all over the place and I was passionate, but because it was set against, two parents that were very loving and had a good relationship and were stable. They were strong people, and that just meant that I could go and take risks, if you like, because I could always come back to that. I always had a solid base and we got on really well as a family. So I suppose I always had that to go back to. So I could make stupid mistake after stupid mistake because I had this wonderful safety net, which again, but at the same time, because everything was kind of easy going, if you know what I mean, I didn't have, a route that was mapped out for me. Like, I didn't see myself as being creative. I used to think, you had to be born with some sort of creative gene. But everything takes work. If you want to be a writer, you have to spend all your time writing. If you want to be a photographer, you have to practice. If you want to draw and be an illustrator like you have to kind of, hone your craft. And I suppose I didn't kind of realize that until I got into my early 30s, that I could make my own decisions about where I wanted to go. So yeah, my 20s were very wanderlust, and I just wandered from disaster to disaster, really. A
lot of fun along the way, though, as well.
So much fun. I mean, I did my degree in geography and environmental studies, and I only picked that because I was good at geography at school. And I never asked myself what did I like doing. It was just like, what did I get good grades in? And I think a lot of my friends did that. And then I was at uni thinking, what the hell am I doing every day? Like, I'm not interested in this, but I'm just going to keep going because I can do it. So then, I kind of ended up in a recruitment job, recruiting for environmental positions. And then I ended up thinking a marketing role at Leeds Met Uni. And then I decided I got some inheritance. So I decided to go to Australia for a couple of years and had the best experience of my life. But then when I came back, I really struggled again to fit in. And, you know, my dad was like, you need to pay his board. This is what happens. This is what happened to me in the 60s, and you're going to pay. So, yeah. And it was good because, you know, I've you know, my work ethic is, I do like to graft, regardless if I like the job or not. So, yeah. That was a good kind of learning tool.
Yeah, I guess like, okay, take responsibility for wherever you're at.
Exactly. If you want to go out all weekend, then you can pay for it. You know, if you want to move out, you can pay for it. So I suppose that I always knew that. But I never, you know, in terms of planning for something to happen, I never had the foresight to look at that. I was very reactive.
Mm-hmm.
And if I lost this job, I could just go and get another one. So it didn't really matter. And I never really stayed in a job that long because obviously it wasn't a true passion. So I'd get bored and go, well, I'll try something else. Well, that won't work. And then things started to change. I think when I met my husband, poor Jim, when, I think I was 28. And then we got married when we were 30. But like over time, I mean, obviously when I met him, he sort of said, look, there's something not right with you. The way that you process things and your emotions are really intense. And I don't really know what I'm going to be getting.
Right. Okay. That's a brave thing to say.
I know. I think it was like on our 5th date or something. I was like, oh no. I was like, are we going to be able to get past this? Because I'm weird. Oh no. But yeah, he kind of made me look at myself in a way that I'd never done before.
Okay.
With kindness though, and compassion. And I got some help, and it was the best thing that I ever did, because, you know, it tamed me a little bit. And I decided, you know, he kind of believed in me. And I always say this, you know, on my courses, I teach photography, and self-belief has been like a massive turning point for me. I feel like it can change the world, because if you believe in yourself, like honestly, the possibilities are endless. And I feel like he kind of did a job on me for a few years. And in my early 30s, obviously, you know, you have kids, and then I came out of my baby coma, and I just decided, you know what, it's now or never. And COVID happened as well, obviously. And I was like, I have to find out what I want to do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Because it was Jim that introduced you to photography, wasn't it? Because he takes photos.
Yes. So he had all the kit. So he did a module. He's a graphic designer. He did that at uni, and he had all the kit. So yeah, he had the cameras and the lenses, didn't know anything about them. So when I had kids and he went back, he used to take the pictures, but when he went back after paternity, I just grabbed a camera. And then it was really slow. I wouldn't say I loved photography straight away. I loved, you know, I could take a picture of the kids, and I have all those memories now that I can look back on, but it wasn't instantaneous like it is for some people. But then as I took more and more pictures, I started to like myself in the process. I could see how, you know, good my world was, and how much love there was in it. And then once all that started happening, I was like, wow, I feel like I'm onto something. I feel like I've discovered the secret. Like, photography makes you happy. You can live in the present. You can see all those small moments, and they become big. And you know, you look forward to going on a weekend away, because you can take your camera and appreciate it and chase the light in new ways. And I thought, right, I have to share this with people, because, you know, I felt like I've been in a hole where I lacked direction and motivation, and look what's happened. So I had that, you know, feeling of, if I can do this, anyone can do it.
Yeah. When you talk about it, it feels like, what I hear is that it woke you up to life around you, to the world around you, looking through a lens.
Yeah, absolutely. And I became kinder to people as well. I'm kinder to myself, and be grateful for what I've got, because there was no gratitude before.
Okay, that's interesting. So, like, the relationship with Jim, and then this whole world, kind of becoming more vivid to you through the lens of a camera, and finding your own skill within that. And like you said, there are different ways of arriving at that, aren't there? Some people do just have like a kind of an instinct and a natural, but you can find that also through just, you know, plugging away and keep on doing it, and pushing yourself and challenging yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's so important to remember, isn't it? That there are, because I think I thought that about art and illustration, that you're just born with this incredible skill, and if you don't have that, then don't do it.
Well, this is it. And I just stopped myself. I lived in fear all the time. I would never, ever try anything new. Unless maybe I'd had a drink, because that gave me the confidence to do it. Or, if I saw someone else doing it who I really admired, then if they were doing it, then I could maybe do it.
Yeah.
It never was my decision. I was really pushed into everything. And yet now I think, well, I'm going to feel fear. So I might as well just do it anyway and see what happens, because not everything we do ends up being a great success.
And that's okay.
And that's totally okay. Yeah, because you learn so many things. I think like Edison, who invented the light bulb, and they said, everyone eureka, and everyone recalls this moment. But he probably had 2,000 goes to get to where he needed to be. And he viewed every failure as a success, moving forward. And that's how I kind of view it.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this to somebody else on a podcast recently about how I think there was this thing at school that I was really struggling with, and we'd get marked out of 10, and if it was above a 5, you passed the exam. If it was below the 5, you failed the exam. But I went from getting 0s out of 10 to getting 2 out of 10, and I would be over the moon. I'm 2 better than 0. It means that I'm getting better. And eventually I got to 7 out of 10, But even though I was still failing,
Yeah.
below 5, I was learning. And it's that thing again as well of making bad art. You've got to make bad art to be able to do good art. And,
and then as well, I love that story, because everyone is, and especially we see it with our kids as well. When they're you feel like more than ever, because we went through the same process, but to go through the process of school, but then seeing your kids do it, it's totally different. So you're like, please don't pigeonhole my child like that. They're going at their own pace. They might want to read books at 10, not 6. It's just the way that, they learn and take in information. But we're exactly the same, even as adults. Sometimes we can grasp something really quickly, and other times it just takes us a bit longer. But there's no shame with that, because I just think, oh God, just have a go. I can't sing. I was singing last night. I mean, obviously not, I was sat on a bar stool just singing along with everyone, but I wouldn't have done that 5 years ago. I would have just gone, I just might go home. And I think this is what this year has shown me. As soon as I kind of stepped out the box, it just feels like it just, the opportunities that I've kind of come my way and the people that I've met, because you've simply put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And it's just been incredible. And I don't see it stopping.
Oh God, no, because your plans just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's great. It's why not just, then you allow yourself the opportunity to think, well, maybe I could do that. And it's fantastic, because I guess, can you imagine when you first picked up your camera that if you could have seen into the future that you would now be teaching other people how to use their camera, open up their life?
No, and I didn't think that I would be any good at it either, because that's what happens, is that we have thought, maybe I can do this, and straight away, your voice says, no, you'd be terrible at it. And then you have to go, hang on a minute, I need to kind of sit with this a bit longer. So I sat with it for a few weeks, and then I was like, you know what? It's now or never. And if it doesn't work, then I know probably I'm not going to do that again. But if it does, wow.
Yeah.
And I think, the little community that we've built up, the photography community we've built up this year, God, they inspire me so much. And, just, the stories that we hear, and it's very, a lot of them, come out of the baby coma, I suppose. And it's, they want to try something new, and they don't really know if they want to go back to their job. And they realize that this could be a potential job opportunity for them. But and the ball's in their court. How exciting is that?
Yeah.
You don't. No one's sort of controlling it. It's all on you. And I think you work harder than ever when you're the one who's sort of steering the ship.
Definitely. And I think because a lot of the people on your course are women. It's not exclusively women, but there are a lot of women out there.
There's a lot of women, and I think there's real kind of community in that. It's such a brilliant space just to have a go.
Yeah, it does feel like a really safe space, because I'm in the Facebook group, and it does feel really safe and so encouraging. And I guess because my experience was that I kind of found my my path after having kids. And I think that's quite often the way. Of course it doesn't always happen, but I think maybe it's a combination of age with, having gone through having kids, and often like the dullness of the early years with kids. They can be so repetitive.
I knew after all that dullness of the routine and staying at home with them for a few years, well, actually it was about four years, and I knew that, once I had the opportunity, I was going to really go for it, because I just didn't want to watch any more daytime TV or go to another sodding park. Sorry, but I just couldn't walk round with a buggy and shouting for the dog to come back. And I just thought, oh my gosh, this isn't in my DNA. I'm going to kind of strive, and I need to kind of get my own identity back. Because I think in my 20s, I just made a real mess of it. I had the best time ever. I make it sound like, but I was a bit lost. And I think I just spent too much time in my own head. And then as soon as you have kids, you have to concentrate on them. And for me, it was just a huge blessing, because I couldn't think about myself, and just having that period where I shut myself off, and then I kind of came back to myself. Like it was just a huge reset, and I was really grateful for it.
That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah, reset. You have to look away from yourself for a while, so then when you do look back at yourself, in a way you see yourself with clearer eyes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you have focus, and everything changed. Purpose, what I wanted to kind of put out there, and then, get back ultimately.
Yeah.
And I just didn't have that. And I don't think I would ever, have ever got it in my 20s, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's it. And you've got to take the path that you've got to take to get to wherever, it's all part of it. And you wouldn't be who you are now if you hadn't experienced that through your 20s.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like we've kind of got a similar story there.
Yeah.
Well, loads of women do.
Yeah. And I think I felt so much pressure in my 20s to have figured out what I wanted to be, and to be successful immediately in whatever chosen field.
Gosh, that roller coaster of like, right, you've got exams and you need to pick what you want to do, because then you're going to have to go to uni. I'm like, I'm so excited about having kids to kind of stop that conveyor belt.
To explain them to them.
And then, and really, spend time with them, nurturing them, and finding out what they want to do and what they're going to be, what they want to be good at. Because if you're happy, like I always, I had to pay the bills, and that's what that became my number one priority. But I think, God, if you can do something that you enjoy, that's best. That's the best life that you can, that your kid can have.
It is, isn't it? My mum was really great like that. She always brought me up just saying, all I want is for you to be happy. That's the most important thing. And I always knew that part of my happiness would be, I think from a really young age, I knew this, that part of my happiness would be linked to my work. Because I knew the way my brain works, I need to have focus and I need to have purpose. And I think possibly that's a guilt that I felt when I had kids, was that didn't feel enough.
Yes.
I knew that wasn't enough to get me up in the morning and feel determined and feel inspired. However much I love them, and I find them hilarious and brilliant and infuriating and inspiring. I've always known from a very young age that my work was going to be really important.
I find now I'm more feeling led. So the way that I approach my business and everything really is just, how do I feel about it? Like and that's obviously how I kind of work with my imagery as well. So in terms of focus, for me it's focus and feelings.
Quite literally focus.
Yeah, focus and feelings, because it's like that's my starting point always when I'm creating some imagery for a brand, or I'm going to photograph a wedding, or simply I've just I'm organising some retreats, some sort of clubber meets for next year.
So exciting.
So exciting. And I was a bit scared, like, oh gosh, are people going to book on? Like, what am I going to offer? And then I just really kind of got to grips with like the feelings of it, and like, what would I want to do? And and the people and the experiences, like, how can I bring all of that together for like a jam-packed 3-day meet? And I think once you start listening to yourself and your intuition, which I'd never done, like it's amazing what all the signs, what yourself tells you. But you don't spend enough time listening to that. Yeah. Like our bodies, and our minds, they're kind of screaming out little signposts.
And it can be hard to, because the world is noisy. the world is
Oh
noisy,
my
and we have,
God.
and
Yeah.
we've got different responsibilities, and especially if you're a people pleaser, and the world's telling you all of these things that you should be, and you should be wanting, and you should be striving for. It can be really daunting to block that out and kind of go, okay, so wait, what do I feel? What, how can I listen to myself? And I feel like this is something that I've only really started doing this year, and it's like a muscle. You've really got to work it. But like you said,
Yeah.
it gets stronger and stronger.
Well, as soon as you start listening to it, that voice gets louder.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're giving it more airtime, so you can kind of tap into it a lot more easily.
Yeah.
But like, that self-hate voice is always there trying to do you in.
I know.
It's always trying to give you a hard time, and it stops you. So it limits you and stops you from taking, calculated risks.
I think I saw something recently where someone was talking about, feel the fear and do it anyway, but how that can actually be quite dangerous,
Damaging.
Something that you and I have talked about is that, feel the fear, do it anyway, but come back to your safe space. Like you said, calculated risk. You can take risks that aren't going to endanger you.
No, because I found that, because if you plan them and you know the risk inside out, then it doesn't really feel like a risk as much.
Yeah, and of course there's always going to be a bit of, out of your comfort zone is healthy, definitely, but you can do it from a kind of like a self-care space, or of just keeping yourself safe within those risks.
Yeah, and I mean it's the same with photography as well. I'm obviously going to bring it back to that. It's that thing of, like when I say to the clubbers, if you want to try something out and you like genre of photography, then or a new technique, and you've tried it and you're feeling a little bit edgy, go back to your kind of what you enjoy doing, why you started it in the first place. Do you like taking pictures of your kids or, buildings or places? Like, go back to that. That's your comfort zone. That's what we can retreat to. But then when we try something new, we can do that. So I think you always just need to have that safe space. Because strength comes from that.
It does, exactly. Strength comes from that, and you can always draw on that. You can draw on what you feel safe with to infuse other work that's possibly doesn't feel so comfortable.
Absolutely.
And I really like that about kind of reminding yourself what it is that you love, why you're doing it, why did you start doing it, what was it you first started enjoying in it. And
because as well, that whole thing about inspiration as well, it's that you're having to draw on things and experiences, but you have to constantly seek out new experiences. Like, I've been reading a lot more lately. I'd kind of neglected that, but once I start reading, like, ideas come.
Yeah.
And
that's why all of my books have notes written in the margins in them, because it's so exciting reading a book and then your brain just going ping, 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 ping.
Yeah. But it's just that kind of thing of like constantly drawing on what you already know, but then, seeking new information, because you might relate to it, and then you can throw that into your content. It's like, I say content, but as well, I mean like the penny drop moment. It's that kind of thing of like, I'm just searching for that pen. When I feel a penny drop, I just get my pad out. I always carry like a pen and paper with me, and I just scribble down something, because I'm like, wow, if I've had a penny drop moment from that, then I might be able to help someone else. And it becomes addictive, that whole learning and sharing. It's so addictive. It's so important to kind of, share what you know with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it strengthens us all and makes us connect. And
then so that it comes back to community, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, having created this photography community this year, like the people in it and just how much they champion each other. I think that's probably been the biggest kind of advantage of the the whole experience, is just watching how kind people are to one another, because that's truly what brings people on.
Yeah no, I completely agree, because like we did we came together and created Say It Out Loud, a workshop in September, and we're doing it again in January.
So exciting!
I know. It's crazy how it's lined up with the moon, because the idea of the workshop, for anyone who doesn't know, is that it starts on the new moon, and we send out tasks and emails over this course of 2 weeks of the waxing moon, which is when your energy is building up in the lead up to the full moon. And there's the Facebook community as well as a couple of Zooms. And oh my goodness, the Facebook community of these people in September, it was mind blowing. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, the group of women was so inspirational. And, it was almost like they couldn't wait to get out of the blocks.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we just need a nudge, or we even just need some permission to go, yes, just go for it. And I think that space was so incredible, because obviously, we chatted, and I was saying, obviously, on the Zooms to the ladies, it was like, hang on a minute, I'm doing it with you. Like, I'm learning so much.
Yeah, I found it so inspiring and invigorating. And because even though we had written and designed this course, somehow doing it with this group of women, just everyone cheering each other on, it just like there was just like this electric energy, and none of it was in person, it was all online. But it was still just so energizing.
No, it was
Yeah.
But it was brilliant. It feels like it's just the beginning of like a new, not a lifestyle, but a new mindset, rather than like guilt-ridden goals.
Exactly, because it's working in tune with the moon to maximize, your energy levels and when you're feeling more driven. And the great thing about this course, we're doing it for 2 weeks, but then you can then take that and apply it to every month, every moon cycle after that, and you just kind of get into the habit of it.
Yeah, exactly. And the techniques that we explore for you to kind of raise your game and work at a higher level more effectively and efficiently.
Oh my God, Laura, I've just realised we're recording this on Wednesday, but I'm releasing this podcast in 2 days on Friday. Guess what day is Friday? It's full moon.
Full moon. Oh, wow. You see, we keep getting all these signs.
I know. This makes me think of what you were saying earlier about how picking up a camera and taking photos, you liked yourself more. It made you like yourself. And I think that's so powerful. It sounds so simple, but it's so, so powerful. And
I think because obviously this is what we teach kind of in the next level, the course above the beginners. It's very much
photography course.
Photography course, sorry. It's about injecting yourself into your imagery, which obviously sounds quite simple, but it is tricky. And I think with every photo you take, you put a bit of yourself into it, because the scene you're taking, you're relating yourself directly to it. And you're taking that picture for a number of reasons, obviously composition and light, but you're also taking that picture because of your memories and the way you see the world, and because of maybe some nostalgia. So it's basically like, it's a 360 of yourself in a picture. And I think once you start to kind of understand that photography is way more than the technical side of things, I mean, that just opens up your whole world and your personality, and it changes the way that you live without, sounding really dramatic. But that's what happened to me. And that's why I sort of brought these courses. Created these courses so people could like themselves and, and get a craft and develop it.
That's so beautiful. It's true. So tell me, what are your plans for the next year then?
Obviously, we've got some retreats, because during COVID, when I set them up last January, we've just done Zooms, and everything has been on the computer. So I was determined this year to kind of, develop those relationships and the club, if you like, and meet face to face. So I'm really excited about that, and the venues and the activities and how we're going to kind of move forward with that. That's really exciting. Start Where You Are starts in January, which is really exciting, and also Next Level. And then I have maybe some plans to turn that Next Level. I would love to turn it into either a downloadable guide or turn that into a book. I think it's got real legs, and I'm excited really excited about that. I want to write a kids course and put that on a teaching platform to get them away from social media, and for them to kind of, see the world, enjoy the world and get away from the screen, basically.
Yeah, I think.
And start and kind of, work our magic on them when they're a bit younger. So I want to do that and explore, if I can do it, if I can break it down into kind of a child-friendly way. Yeah, because they have phones, and obviously, Sonny's always going, oh, the light, and he's only 5, but he's really kind of switched on to photography, because I've always kind of got cameras lying around. So yeah, something I'm maybe thinking of I've got them in mind, really. Something that, I mean, I'd like to do it from maybe sort of 8 to maybe 14. So yeah, definitely. There's loads of ideas. It's just time. Time is a bit of an issue.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the constant battle, isn't it? But I'd say you do pretty damn well with the time that you've got.
Yeah. No, I think I'm more productive in the time that I've got, because I really want to have time to spend with the kids as well, because I've been quite aware that, this year, they're always my priority, but I haven't been spending enough time with them. So I think, you try your best, but there are some areas that are always going to falter.
Yeah.
And I think we just try and balance as we go without kind of beating ourselves up about it, kind of noticing I feel a bit bad about that. Let's try and fix it. As you'll know, I had like a really bad ear infection, and I think I was just really burnt out. It was something that my body should have been able to kind of fight a bit more effectively, but I was just so run down. Yeah. And I think now it was a bit of just a wake-up call, just to, relax. And if I go on holiday, it's okay just to switch off and turn your phone off. But I haven't done that all year. So I think, it's going back to that thing just about balance and looking after yourself.
Yeah.
And the kids, I mean, God, they're so important. You need to, they need to feel like they're special.
Yeah, exactly. I know. But then, you've got a long list of big plans, so...
Yes, well, you have as well. You're firing on all cylinders too. But I mean, it just makes us so happy. This is why we do it.
That's it. I think that's it. When you're feeling inspired, you want to harness that. Oh, the cat's just come to visit me. Hi, Nutmeg. And I'm excited for your book as well, because I think you have such a soulful approach to photography. You're not going to just write a manual. You're going to write something that's so much more holistic, I guess.
It's that thing of creating content, but I need to fill myself up first with new techniques and trying things out, and what would appeal. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I said November was going to be my month to kind of go at it and fill myself up, but it's probably going to be December. But I'm so excited about that, and it's a luxury that I can do that.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for the way this year's turned out.
Yeah, I think you have an infectious positivity that people are really drawn to. So I feel like there was never any way that it wasn't going to happen.
Gosh, I've got a few tears there. I can say exactly the same about you. This is, you make me feel safe. And I love talking to you.
Oh, likewise. It's so lovely. It's been so lovely hearing more about, I guess, because you talk very openly about your mental health as well and your personal journey. Mm-hmm. So it's really so gorgeous that you share that with people, because I think it helps other people feel safe around you and understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, because I think with something we put a lid on it sometimes, don't we? I think maybe... Yeah, it feels like it's changing now, kind of how people perceive mental health. And I'd say it feels like it's only sort of changing over the last few years. Kind of that, put up and shut up was, it's dying a death. And I'm really happy about that, because when we share how we feel and our struggles, it lightens the load, but people can relate to you and then they feel better. So yeah, I think that's one of when we keep secrets, and I felt like my mental health was a secret. It did me so much damage.
Yeah, exactly. And the idea for this podcast came from a place of my shame. And my shame was that I hadn't had a straightforward trajectory to where I am now. And as soon as I opened up about that, oh my God, the hordes of people that were like, oh, I haven't either, and I felt really embarrassed about this. Like I have less of a right to be where I'm at because I've kind of taken a squiggly path to getting here. And so there was the power in me opening up this box of shame and going, okay, well, I'm going to put it all out there, share it, and then other people finding comfort in that and finding it empowering.
Yeah, and it draws people to you.
Yeah, because they want to share their story. They want to share their
Yeah.
story, and they feel safe to share their story with you.
Well, that's it. And you know what? Life is stories. Like there's nothing more that I like than sitting around a campfire or any sort of circle and just sharing stories.
It's so powerful. It's how we make sense of the world, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And how we pass things down.
Yeah, completely. Okay, well, it has been so, so, so gorgeous talking to you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me. I feel honoured to sort of share this space with you and have a natter.
It feels really right in a way that this is kind of the final episode of the season. I've got one more episode next week, which is going to be John and I talking. That kind of feels like a bonus one-off.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait just to kind of like listen to all the gems and your kind of rapport.
I'm clearly going to edit out all the bickering.
Oh yeah, no, leave it in, please, because then we'll all feel normal.
That's the best bit. But it feels really somehow poignant to be ending the first season with you, because I feel like we both really somehow in parallel kind of just took ourselves seriously.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. And we gave ourselves permission to do that.
Yes, exactly. And so it's so gorgeous that now we're working together and that I can record this chat with you, because you're a huge part of it. You're a huge part of, in a way, what I'm doing, I guess. So thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. It's just been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure to meet you, and look at all the good stuff that's happened from it. So
exactly.
Super grateful for you. Like I just had the insides of my brain sucked out through my ears. Loved it.
You can find Laura on Instagram at Laura Carly Adams and online at lauraadamsphotography.co.uk, where you will find information about her courses Start Where You Are and Next Level, and how to book Laura as a photographer. You can also find more information about our workshop Say It Out Loud starting January 1st, 2022 on both our websites, lauraadamsphotography.co.uk and javaberry.co.uk. Thank you so much for listening to On the Irregular. Please make sure you review and subscribe, as it helps other listeners find us. It truly does make such a difference.